Good day, one and all. I have something a bit different to show you guys today. Today we're going to look at this brand new in-box, never used, First Alert smoke alarm that I bought for $2 at a Value Village store. So here's the box, obviously, but if we look in the box, it's empty. Where's the smoke alarm itself? Well, it's actually right there, and it is running right now. So I'll take it down and we'll take a look at it. And here's the unit itself. This is a First Alert model SA150LTA smoke alarm, and it was made in 1991. Brand new, never used. The box was sealed and it came with all the original stuff. Here are the original manuals. There's an English one and then a French one. The original mounting hardware to mount it to your ceiling or wall or whatever. And I thought this was just too cool. It came with the original batteries that it shipped with. The original First Alert batteries, they're installed backwards in the unit. And when you got the unit, you were to turn the batteries around and hook them up. And the reason there's two batteries is because this actually takes two batteries. And the reason it takes two 9-volt batteries is because this is a unique model in that it has the built-in escape light that lights up. It's a bright incandescent light that lights up when the alarm goes off. The purpose being to light the room or whatever if the alarm goes off in the dark. Or if it's dark because of smoke or whatever, to help you escape. Pretty neat. So when I posted the last video in which I showed this and the other things I got at Value Village, somebody commented with a good question. Somebody said, "Hey, I get why you wanted the calculators, but what do you find interesting about a smoke alarm?" And that's a very good question, because I'm sure that's something that a lot of people would think about. And the truth is, there's actually a surprisingly large group of people on the internet, on forums and on YouTube and stuff, who are interested in things like smoke alarms and fire alarms, and for some of them, things like doorbells. There's actually a surprisingly large number of people who are into this stuff. I don't think I'm quite one of them, because I'm not as into them as they are. But when it comes to something like this that's vintage and brand new in the box and stuff, I find them pretty interesting. Vintage smoke alarms as a whole, I find pretty interesting. A few years ago on this channel, you can watch it, I filmed at my grandmother's house, my late grandparents' house, a Wake and Warn smoke alarm from the 90s that I had found mint in the box, and it was actually running when I found it in the box. Somebody put the battery in it, but then put it back in the box. I found that in the basement at my grandparents' house. And the Wake and Warn smoke alarms I always like, because I actually owned a couple of them as a kid for a time, and they were very common smoke alarms in the 90s into the 2000s. So yeah, it's just something I've always found interesting. Like I said, I don't think I'm quite as into them as the actual alarm enthusiasts on YouTube and elsewhere. But I certainly find this stuff a bit interesting nonetheless. I guess you could call me an honorary member of that group. So this is pretty neat because this is one of the last of the original design First Alert smoke alarms. This design, the case and everything, this design goes back to the mid-70s, I believe. The very first First Alert smoke alarms were based on this housing, and it never changed until 1993, and this is from 91, so it's got the original design just a couple years before they updated it after like 20 years. So that's pretty neat. So it is your usual First Alert smoke alarm design from this era, with the exception that what's normally a blanking plate in the middle, this one has the escape light. I've never seen one of these in the wild. I've seen tons of the normal version of this without the escape light, but I've never seen one with the escape light in the wild. So I possibly have something a bit uncommon here, especially for being brand new in the box. So that's pretty darn neat. Something else kind of interesting though is, thanks to having the box and the manual for this, I've learned something that a lot of these First Alert alarms had, a feature they have that I never knew existed. You would never know unless you either already knew or you had the box and or manual for one of these. Notice how the test button here that you hold down to test the alarm, in most smoke alarms there's a red LED under this button that blinks once a minute or whatever to show that the alarm is working, and it blinks rapidly while the alarm's going off. Well, these First Alert alarms, a lot of these, including this one, you can see there is no red LED there. The button is just a solid piece, and there's no LED under here. And the reason that is that you can see there's a little hole in the center of the button. There is something under here. There's an infrared receiver, because the feature that this and many First Alert smoke alarms from this era have that I had no idea existed is a light test feature. To test the alarm, instead of having to hold the test button, what you can do is shine an incandescent flashlight at the button. You shine it on and you wave it back and forth rapidly over the button, and that causes the alarm to go off. It's actually advertised on the box here. It's called Light Test. And I had no idea that was something that ever existed, so I've learned now why a lot of these didn't have a red LED under the test button. I wish it did. I wish it did have the little indicator LED instead of the light test, but I think it's pretty neat nonetheless. So how about we start with looking at the box. We'll take a look at the box, read what it says. The original retail price, $29.46. And of course I paid $2 for it. Model SA150LTA. The LT means light test. I'm not sure what the A would mean. Hall stairway with escape light and light test. First Alert smoke alarm. Escape light is activated during alarm. Easy testing of smoke alarm with flashlight activated light test. Powered by 2 9-volt batteries included, and a 3-year limited warranty. Well, that warranty expired some 25 years ago. In fact, the alarm stayed in the box for 1991, that's 27 years this thing stayed in the box, brand new. And of course you can see it's not yellow or anything. These usually turn yellow as they age due to sunlight exposure. Not this one. It is as good as brand new. Escape light turns on automatically when alarm occurs. Light test feature makes alarm easy to test. Just wave flashlight beam over its gold test button. No need to stand on a chair or ladder to press the button. Alarm can be tested on ceilings up to 5 meters high with any 2D cell or rechargeable flashlight. Unit is designed to sound alarm as light beam is waved across test button. Alarm can also be tested by pressing its gold test button. Alarm is supplied with 2 9-volt batteries. Has 30-day low battery signal. So when a battery gets low and it starts going chirp, chirp every minute or so, it can do that for a month before the battery is totally exhausted. Hinge cover for easy battery replacement. Instructions for installation and 3-year warranty period. Printed in the USA. Assembled in Mexico. Pitway Corporation of America. Pitway was the owner of the First Alert brand. First Alert was absorbed into Honeywell in 2000, or I should say Pitway Corporation was absorbed into Honeywell in 2000. Pitway also sold the Wake and Warn and Family Guard version of smoke alarms. Wake and Warn and Family Guard were the cheap budget smoke alarms, and First Alert was the premium brand. And as I said earlier, I saw quite a number of Wake and Warn smoke alarms throughout my childhood. Copyright 1991. So that is that. And then we'll take a brief look at the manual here. It's one of these big things that folds out. First Alert by Pitway, smoke alarms with light test. So that's the normal version. That's the version we have with the escape light. And then here's the version that doesn't have an escape light, but it has a silencer button. So the alarm goes off, you press the silence button, and it silences it for like 3 minutes. Printed in USA. And I believe there is a revision date on here. Yes, there is. March of '90. Take a look at the batteries here. This is just so cool that it comes with the original batteries. They are both obviously dead. They both test at 0 volts. Now notice there's 2 different batteries here. One is a carbon zinc battery, and the other is an alkaline battery. And that's because, actually, if we open up the alarm here, I'll take out the batteries that I have in it. So if we look where the batteries go, it takes two 9-volt batteries. One says alkaline or carbon, and the other says alkaline only. So one of the batteries powers the alarm itself and the other powers the escape light. The battery that powers the alarm itself, First Alert specified that you could use either a carbon, zinc, or alkaline battery. And for the escape light, they said you should use only an alkaline battery. And that's kind of backwards to me. First of all, because today modern smoke alarms say very clearly to only use an alkaline battery. They say don't use a carbon zinc battery, just because carbon zinc batteries won't last as long because they have a lesser capacity. So it's kind of interesting, kind of backwards now, that they say you can use a carbon zinc battery for the alarm itself, but not for the light. Light you can only use alkaline. That's also backwards to me, because in my opinion the alarm itself is more important than the light, and the alarm will function, I believe, without the light battery installed. The light just won't work. So I don't know why they wouldn't be okay with you putting a carbon zinc battery in with the light. I think honestly these ought to be switched, because the alarm is running all the time, but the light only comes on when the alarm goes off. So I just find it kind of backwards. They say you can use carbon for the alarm, but not for the light. Kind of interesting. But anyway, that is why they gave you in the box one carbon zinc battery, that's for the detector itself, and then one alkaline battery, that's for the escape light. And you can see the alkaline battery has not aged well. It's become very bloated, and the negative terminal is very corrupted. But the carbon one is just fine, and that's actually why I like carbon zinc batteries for some things, or zinc chloride batteries, whatever you want to call them, is because they generally don't leak like alkalines do, so they are very useful for some things. But you can see here, kind of interesting, they, I wonder if this will, there you go, you might be able to see better now. You see the carbon one, they called it a 1-year battery, and the alkaline, they called it a 3-year battery. And see if there's any other information on here. Asterisk. Estimated life in most UL smoke detectors will vary. No guarantee of service life is provided. And the alkaline was model FB2. And the carbon zinc, flip it over, was model FB1. I wonder how hard it was back in the day, how common it was, I can only assume, since they put model numbers on these and everything, that you could buy First Alert brand 9-volt batteries in stores. I don't know how common they would have been to find, though, or if you can still buy them today at all. They do give you, inside here, they do give you a standard list of common batteries that they can use. For the alkaline only battery, for the light, they suggest an Eveready 522 or a Duracell MN1604, and for the carbon they list Eveready 522 for the alkaline, 1222 or 216, those are presumably carbon zinc batteries, or the Duracell MN1604, same as the other side. So finally, let's look at the alarm itself. So around the edge you got the usual information. It says do not paint, and read owner's manual, and detector will not operate if battery is dead, disconnected, or improperly installed. You got your gold test button here. It says push and hold to test weekly. And then the sticker on the back, Underwriters Laboratories of Canada, First Alert SA150LTA. And of course this is an ionization smoke detector, so it does have radioactive material in it, 1 microcurie of americium-241. Ooh, fun. Printed in Canada. Oh, it gives you the part number for a replacement lamp for the escape light. Very interesting. And notice, this thing was made before they mandated that smoke alarms have a expiration date on them. So there is no expiration date on this, or a date of manufacture. If this did have an expiration date, it would be 2001. So even if this thing, regardless of whether or not this thing has an expiration date on it, it is like 17 years past its use-by date. But we will demonstrate this. It still works just fine. So it wouldn't be legal if I were a contractor building a house or preparing an apartment for someone to move into. It would be illegal for me to install this in that residence. But for my own personal use, it obviously works just fine. And this thing does work just fine. We will test it with actual smoke. Constant horn indicates alarm. No crap. Replace battery when horn beeps about once per minute. So we'll take a look inside. Inside is a very standard, or for the most part, a very standard smoke alarm circuit used in all the First Alert, Wake and Warn, Family Guard alarms. The difference being, of course, there's two battery terminals, the escape light, and the red indicator LED has been replaced with an infrared receiver for the light test function. There's the horn, standard piezoelectric buzzer, and I believe the printing on the horn is some sort of date code from what I read somewhere, but certainly doesn't look like anything on there gives a date code. 11C P4662 and an upside down 5. I know this was made in 1991, so who knows. The escape light, the bulb is meant to be replaced. The bulb pulls straight out. You can see it's one of these blade connectors. And it says GE149, so it might be a General Electric bulb. GE type 149, who knows. And there's the connector down there. The reflector assembly is all plastic. So I'll just stick that down in there. And there's your ionization chamber. It's one that I'm very familiar with. Every Wake and Warn and other smoke alarm I've ever seen that was built by First Alert in the 90s and 2000s, they all had this same ionization chamber. And down there in the center of that chamber is a little pellet of americium-241. Fun. Constant exposure to high or low temperature may reduce battery life. Okay. And there's the that little metal strip down there. That's the test button. When you press down on the test button, it pushes that strip against the little 0 ohm resistor sitting under it. That makes the connection that triggers the alarm. I can't help but wonder, see, something I read once, which is kind of interesting and it makes a lot of sense, is your usual smoke alarms that have an indicator LED on them, how they test whether or not they should sound the low battery alarm is when they blink the LED once per minute, they use the LED as a load for the battery. So in that instance, 10 or 15 milliseconds that the LED is lit, they take a sample of the battery voltage while the LED is lit because it gives them a more accurate representation of the health of the battery if the voltage dips down for that small amount of time the LED is lit. So at the instant the LED lights up, it samples the battery voltage. If it's below a certain threshold, it begins the low battery chirp. Now this has no LED on it, so I can't help but assume that one of these resistors on the board is being used as the load resistor. When it wants to test the battery voltage, it sends a little pulse of current through the resistor for the load, and then perhaps it measures the voltage across the resistor itself, or maybe it measures the battery directly, I don't know. But I can't help but wonder if I could possibly remove one of these resistors, stick an LED in there, and get my indicator LED. Maybe all the circuitry for driving an indicator LED is already here. They just didn't install it. I don't know, but it's something interesting to think about. Okay, I'm going to stick the batteries back in, which sucks because when you stick the battery, like First Alert smoke alarms usually do, when you stick the battery in, the alarm goes off for a few seconds. I hate that. I wish it would just peacefully turn on and begin its work. But I'll stick in the escape light battery first. That won't do anything. And you don't need to worry about turning down your volume. If I have to, I will normalize the audio so when the alarm goes off, it won't blow your ears out. So don't worry, you don't have to change your volume. So I'll put the main battery in here. Woo, that's loud. Oh, I should have put earphones in. My left ear is now ringing. My right ear's fine because it's deaf. Ugh. Anyway, it is running now. It is functioning. And what I can do is I'll demonstrate the light test. This won't work on an LED flashlight. I can grab an LED flashlight here and turn it on. And it does not care. It's measuring infrared. LEDs don't put out infrared light unless it's an infrared LED. But incandescent flashlights do. So I have to find an incandescent flashlight. Ugh. I think the Rayovac Magnum will suffice. Oh, battery's not making a good connection. There we go. And I'll turn the light off here so you can get a sense of how bright the escape light is. So I take my incandescent flashlight and I wave it across the test button, and the alarm will only sound for as long as I'm waving the light. As soon as I stop, the alarm will stop. So I'll just do this for a split second. And it's deciding it doesn't like it. Not helped by the fact that the batteries aren't keeping contact in this thing. Let's try it again. Oh, it doesn't like it. There it is. And I told you I would test this thing with actual smoke. I have a candle and a lighter. So I'm going to put my earplugs in and then we'll demonstrate this with actual smoke. Alright, my earplugs are in. I can't hear much of anything. I warned Mom ahead of time before starting the video that there was going to be beeping. So I have a candle, I have a lighter, so I'm going to light the candle. Okay, candle is lit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow out the candle and then hold the smoke alarm up over the smoke that'll rise. When the alarm starts going off, I will blow into the smoke detector to clear the smoke out the way. So here we go. Alright. Took a few seconds, but it got it eventually. That was a lot of smoke too. I can actually see it dispersing throughout the room. So yeah, this thing works. So I assume I can pull out my earplugs now. Hopefully it won't go off again. There is a bit of smoke in the room still. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's all there is to show of the first Alert SA150LTA smoke alarm with light test and escape light. Very neat find for sure. Brand new in the box. Unopened since 1991. I'm the first ever user of this thing. And it might be old and technically way past its use-by date, but it still functions. So it will be cool, even if just as a decoration, having it on the wall over there. And wow, the smoke is still coming off that candle. I hope this thing doesn't go off again. But yeah, there you go. So hope at least some of you found this interesting. I certainly think it's interesting, but that's just me. But yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.